This is our first session of an executive coaching process that will last months. For some of you, if the results are inspiring and the experience is what you're looking for, we may work together for years. Now, we've talked about the results you want, and those results are inspiring. They're compelling. These are outcomes worth having, worth working for, worth making part of your life. There's a lot of hard work to be done. Some of it will be internal, with how we think and speak and use our bodies and take care of ourselves. Much more of the work will be with and through other people. That is the most powerful and scalable way to get results, with and through other people. Now, some of the activities that you'll be engaging with through this process are going to be fun. But much of it, we might as well admit it now, may seem like drudgery. I mean, that just seems to be the nature of anything worth doing. Sometimes it's fun, compelling, engaging. Other parts, you just have to grind it out. Some years ago, when I was working at General Electric, I was on the telephone. I remember it vividly. I was talking to my third manager in, I think, less than 3 months. And he was explaining to me the format in which he wanted my sales forecast. Well, I listened as patiently as I could. And finally, I pointed out to him that this was the third time in a few months that a new manager had asked me for a new format for my sales report. Probably wasn't a very polite or generous thing to say to him, because after all, that was reminding him of how little time he probably had in his job. I told him I'd really rather be out selling, and that's probably better for the company too. Well, he'd heard this one before, and he said to me something that has stuck with me ever since and has been useful in many situations. Maybe it'll be useful for you too. He said, "Tony, selling is so much fun, I'd probably do it for free. I figure the company pays me to do the paperwork." I want us to take a few minutes now, early in our group executive coaching program, to prepare you for those less appealing aspects of the work you'll be doing together by putting them into what I've found to be an empowering, useful context. A useful analogy occurred to me a few years ago while I was watching a program on PBS, what we used to call educational TV. It was called Secrets of the Ancient Engineers. They were talking about how more than 500 years ago, the Inca civilization in Peru built amazing cities in magnificent temples high in the Andes. You may have heard of, for instance, the Temple of the Sun at Machu Picchu. The huge stones of its walls were so well fitted that they have survived centuries of weather, war, and earthquakes. Not only do they still stand, but the joints are so perfect, so well formed, that you could not slide a razor, a piece of paper, in the joints of these stones. And the Incas did this without steel tools, without using any kind of mortar or binding agent, just by fitting the stones together so well. But that's not the most amazing part. The temple is not made of stone, cut from the 8,000-foot mountain on which it stands. The stone is from quarries thousands of feet below and miles away across a raging river through dense jungle. The bottom of the mountain, a mountain 8,000 feet tall, across a river, through a jungle. And these are not stones you just pick up and carry. These are, some of them, the size of a car. They weigh thousands of pounds. How did the Inca do this when they did not use the wheel and axle? They didn't have strong draft animals like horses or oxen. Now, this was such a mystery that some people even considered supernatural or extraterrestrial explanations. This has been a mystery since Machu Picchu was discovered by Westerners in 1911. Well, the producers of this PBS program set out to solve the mystery. And they did it in a novel, but seems like should be obvious manner. They asked the local Masons, the people who are the direct descendants of the Incas, how would you do this? Well, the answer was, look at your feet. Do you notice the cobblestone roads that we have all over the place? These were built by the Incas too. And if you notice, you can put a large block of stone on this stone roadway, and it slides pretty easily, especially if you put down some leaves or animal fat to grease the path. They tried it. It worked great. Slides right across and up. So they had these well-fitted stone roadways. They had miles of them all over the empire, but also up this mountain to the Temple of the Sun. Pretty simple. But there is a catch. Based on the population and the size of the roads and the hardness of the stone and the placement of the quarries, their best estimate is that it took 15 or 20 years minimum to build the roads from the quarry up the mountain to the Temple of the Sun. Now consider yourself in this situation. You're the leader of a successful Inca city. You assemble the citizens for an important announcement.